Day shift, dapper bag mission on my back, night hits. Tango in the shadows on attack, coast stack, syntax, fingers moving like a mag. Discipline embedded in the way I counteract. Heartbeat running like a drill, sergeant cadence. Every little glitch getting clear with impatience. Stab mode calm, but the streams where the rage is. Hunter in the dark, taking aim at the agents. Boots on the floor, but the keyboard's my weapon. Ops in the chat, every viewer gets a lesson. Tech in my veins, every bite I'm addressing. Then I must be tested at the lead 'em in a second. Never been a quitter, I'm a problem architect. Military mindset, keep the chaos in check. Every demon in the dead are getting caught in my net. Tango hunter on the rise, yeah, the systems and that.
Fast pace, no break, runtime overload. Dead string, night shift, tactical mode. Every single challenge getting instantly owed to the soldier in the shadows with the code that explodes.
Eldritch in the runtime, watch 'em bow. Ay. Hunter in the mainframe, watch 'em bow. Ay. Discipline and logic, make 'em bow. Ay. Day by day, but the night they bow. Every demon process, make 'em bow. Every glitch in memory, make 'em bow. Tango in the system, make 'em bow. Runtime ritual, make 'em bow. Runtime ritual, make 'em bow. Fast like a heartbeat in the combat, stress sharp like a soldier when the squad's under threat. Calm like a father when the world's a mess, but the moment I go live, I'm a certified threat. I bind every breathing, I'm a digital ghost. Under in the code, taking aim at the host. Every little ever getting cooked in toast. I'm the dad with the discipline to heal the most.
Night ops active, I'm a one-man squad. Streamlights flicker like the wrath of a god. Tech train mind, every line is mod. I'm the glitching matrix that the system outlawed.
Hey, Eldritch in the runtime, watch 'em bow. Hey, Hunter in the mainframe, watch 'em bow. Hey, discipline and logic, make 'em bow. Hey, day by day, but the night they bow. Every demon process, make 'em bow. Every glitch in memory, make 'em bow. Tango in the system, make 'em bow. Runtime ritual, make 'em bow. Runtime ritual, make 'em bow.
Alright, let's see. It did not load my Earthray screen. We're gonna fix that real quick. We're gonna move over to our text stream. There we go, and there, okay. It wrote it. Alright, cool. There we go, and now I've got my chat pulled up on my phone. Okay. Alright, so we are on week 2. Let's go ahead and get some music playing too. Get some stuff playing in the background. What's up, Flash? How you doing? Yeah, my some of my audio sources aren't working quite right, but that's okay, I'll fix them later. As long as my stream itself is working. Yeah, I made some changes and stuff's not quite working the way it should be. But I'll fix that later. That's okay. Alright, so we are on part 2 of building website. I'm going to... Pretty good, how are you? Yeah, I had audio issues too. Yeah, I made some changes because my YouTube was disabling audio features because my check-in sounds are from actual songs, even though they're only like 10 seconds long. So, yeah. So, I've had to move things around so that my check-in sounds don't mute my audio on YouTube and cause copyright infringements. So, mine was self-inflicted. Same thing happened to yours? Yeah. So, we're going to turn on word wrap real quick because I don't want to have to scroll sideways to read some content like this. So let's do Control Z. There we go. And now, when it gets to the end, it'll go to the beginning of the next line. Oh, it highlights the whole thing too when you're on it. That's cool. Okay. So there we go, we got that. We don't have a whole lot done so far. Here, let me open up a preview real quick. This is what we've got, but it's not really reactive. It's got like a side, like you have to kind of side scroll because the image is too big. So we're gonna fix that first, and then we're gonna dive straight into getting our banner tidied up, and getting our buttons to work at the top and the sections they need to work in. So let's do that first. Let's see if I go to my banner. We're gonna change the banner image too, because I don't want the text in the banner. I want the text to free float in front of it. So what we'll do is we'll actually, hold on, let me pull up the way I did it earlier. I did some testing earlier, so let me pull that up. Let me find it first. Here we go. So yeah, let's actually delete this. Yeah, see, it updates our preview real time, right? So what we're gonna do, and then it still has a side scrolling because of the banner on the bottom, that horizontal rule. So we're just gonna have to change that. So what I'm gonna have to do is go into our styles, and the first thing underneath our body is where our header is gonna be. So we'll start there, and we're gonna do header. And we want the background image. And this is going to be local file. So our local file is going to be in images slash, what's the name of the file? Blank banner. It's the blank banner, okay. Blank dash banner.png. This should work. And it did not. Oh, it might help if I do the quotes. Still nothing. Why? Background image. Didn't show up. Oh, maybe because I have to specify. Hold on. Let's do width 100%. We'll go to width. Still nothing. What about background size? Contain. Okay, so it just doesn't show up. What am I doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong? Do I need the slash in front? No, of course there. Now it shows up. Okay, cool. See, it looks kind of funky there. Let's fix that, because now it's tiling it. So we get the width 100%. What we're gonna have to do. What's up, Sally? Getting first and checking in. Dun, 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 dun. So I want our aspect ratio to be 3:1 because the banner is 1500 pixels wide and 500 pixels tall. So if we make our aspect ratio 3:1, there we go. There we go. Now our banner image shows up clearly. It's easy to see, and if I resize this, it should resize up. So it's gonna be really big with like bigger monitors. But like it'll look really good with smaller monitors. My terminals are still left aligned, but I'll fix that here in a minute. So now we got that. And contain basically makes the image, or makes the header not restricted by its content, right? The content is contained within it, right? So there's no scroll bar inside of here to view it. So that's pretty much what that does. And then we're just going to center it just in case, because sometimes people have small screens like on cell phones. So we'll do background position, and we'll center, and that we shouldn't have any problems with it after that. I do want to have margins set on it, but like, actually, you know, I don't think I need to. No, I'm not gonna need to, because I'll put margins above this. That way it doesn't bleed into it whenever I make the buttons. So we're not gonna do margins. We'll leave it as is, because I don't want it to be. I don't want to make it take up too much screen on big monitors. That's crazy. So we'll leave it the way that it is. We'll do a display grid. This will make sense in a minute. Display grid, because we're gonna put text in it, and we want the text to fit, right? So what this just did is it made those two buttons. These are the two buttons, right? And they're over top of the background image. We're gonna fix that. So we want to place items, and we want to center. Really? There we go. Place items center. Now, see, look, they're in the center, and they're not like super big. We're gonna fix that. They're not gonna be centered. They're gonna be mobile menu's gonna be here for anyone on a small screen. And it'll be hidden on big screens, and then on this side will be our theme toggle. Flash 100-yard dash, so he knows what's up. And then the last thing is going to be overflow, and that's going to be hidden, right? And again, just in case anything does spill outside the container, there's not going to be a scroll bar inside the container. It's going to hide that. So that should fix all of that. We're gonna have, we'll just do H1 here. That's fine. We're gonna put a heading inside of the header, and that's gonna be. I don't want any margins on it at all. I want it to fit 100% in the center and not conflict with anything. Line height. Oh, I dashed there. Line height. We want just one. See, we're doing some styling right now. We want. You can't really see what we're styling it because I don't have it in there. But we're gonna basically put block letters. Is there a default one for Rockwell? I don't see one because it's not. Rockwell's block lettering. I don't know if it's gonna come up. We'll see. It should. It should come up with no problem. Alright, and the font size. So this is where it's gonna look funky. So we're gonna clamp it. I want a minimum and a maximum font size. So the minimum will be 24 pixels. And then the default is going to be 11% of the viewport width. And the reason it's 11% is because the aspect ratio for the background is 3:1, right? Let me put a space there. There we go. So because the aspect ratio is 3:1, it means the length is 9 times longer than the height. Well, hold on. The text will be 9 times less. Like the text height will be 9 times less than the width, right? So if you take 100% or 100 and divide by 9, you get 11.111111, right? So this will make sense whenever I start formatting. But basically, the text height, like you see how these are like just this tall, and these are the same height. And this is a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter. The text will be 1/9 the height, like the height of the text will be 1/9 the width of this, right? So like if just to put it, make it easy to understand, if this right here was 300 pixels. Actually, let's say it's 900. Let's say it's 900 pixels, right? Easy math, 900 pixels, right? That means the height would be 300, right? The text in the middle would be 100, right? So the text is 100 pixels high, and this would be 900 pixels long. So that's where I got the 11% viewport width. So hopefully that makes sense. But the maximum width that I want it to be is 177 pixels. I don't want it to be any bigger than that, because any bigger than that on like ultra wide monitors will make the text take up like half the screen, and we don't want that. Even though like this banner image will get to a certain width, it won't, because our maximum width on that is going to be 1600 pixels. So that's why I went with that. And then let's just leave it at that. Let's get the text inside of it and see how it looks. Right, so if we go back to our home page, right, we're going to put the H1 heading in here. H1. It's going to look funky because Tango Hunter. Because we got these two things in here, right? It's not centered. So the text is not centered. But at least we can see it. So the next thing I want to do for the font is give it a color. Right, so we're going to do the color. Hey Shazza, thank you for checking in. I see you there. Alright, so for the color we're going to do a gradient. But I want to do like a radial gradient on the color. How you doing, Shazza? So it's going to be radial dash gradient. This has to be formatted like 100% correctly, or it's not going to work, right? So we want to start the center, right? So we want to be this radial gradient. It's going to be a circle starting at the center. If I can type circle at center, right? Comma. And then I'm just going to copy and paste. Yeah, I'm going to copy and paste my colors that I already picked. We'll just see how that looks. And that did not work. Why didn't that work? Maybe if I circle at center. Do I have that right? Let me double check. So I'm going to pull up how to make a font a radial gradient, because I did that wrong. Oh. Okay, so this is crazy. I probably don't even need the circle at center. I could probably just leave it a circle. Dude, this is telling me to make a WebKit? There's no way. That can't be right. I'll go to shot. I don't think that's right though. This doesn't need to be background image. Let me try. I don't know. Let me try that. So we'll just make. I've never done this before. You like the colors? No, the colors are pretty good, but I don't want the text to be white. See what I mean? And I want the text to be centered a little better. And what I might do, because I don't think it looks great the way that it is. It's too wide. So I'm going to change. Here, let me just delete that real quick. I can change this value right here, and I'll change the size of the text. Right, so 10 viewport width, or I can do like 9%, just that's getting smaller, or like 8%. So I think 8% is the sweet spot for the height. Oh, I forgot the text was. You thought it was light blue. No, so the links right now are blue, but the links we're going to change. Like all these links, the default link colors, these are all going to change. They're not going to stay this way. We have to style this because we're styling it all in code, right? So, but there are certain things that, like, even though I'm pretty proficient, there's still certain things that I don't quite know. So that's why we're trying to figure it out. So it's telling me that I have to make this a background image, right? And then make it a radial gradient. So then I would just take this right here, Control X and Control V, right? And then we'll get rid of this color. So that's what it's telling me to do. But then I'll just copy this code snippet they have here on Google. But I don't think this is going to work. Well, that made it work. That worked. And then the default color we'll make white. Hold on. Oh, I forgot the, there. Alright, so like there's like the fallback. But it disappeared. Like, it made it all transparent. Let me try. I'm gonna get rid of that because I don't think that's needed. Let me try to move this to right here, and that didn't help any because CSS it reads from the top down. So it does work. It just doesn't work right. Why don't I just try let's make this simple. I don't like these buckets. What we'll do, we'll get rid of that. We're gonna come here and we are gonna make it color transparent because it has to have the background color. This gradient is gonna be the background and it's gonna show through the text. Right, but the text stuff won't have a color, and then we want to clip it, so it does have to be background clips. Yeah, so background clip, and we want to clip to the text. What if I clip to, hold on, instead, that's not going to work. See, it's still not working. I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, even Stack Overflow is wrong. It might be because I'm trying to do it. It kind of looked blue, but I think it's my phone. It might be. I don't know. I really don't know. If I just delete this, it's still there, right? What if I just make it a color? Okay, so I can make it a color. But like it's so ugly like that. I don't like it. I will figure out how to do the gradient later, but at least like it's there, and I know I can change the color. What I can do is there. Let's just see what happens. Make it 1 pixel solid. Oh, it puts it around the text. Not. I should have known better. So we don't want border. We want something else. Maybe a text shadow. Text shadow. And we'll make it 1 pixel. Just make it black. That kind of helps. Let's make it 3 pixels. I don't even see it. It's not even showing up. Am I doing something wrong? This is why I don't do this. This is why I don't. Okay, so I gotta specify that's only the top. So it's gonna be 1 pixel. This is so dumb. 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel. Right, but if I want to change this, let's make it 10. I just want to see how it's gonna. That's pixel, not PC. There it goes. See, this doesn't do it. There's still no shadow. And my eyes checked. Like the Tango Hunter part kind of looked blue. I think it's my phone. It might. I don't know. But I still can't get the text shadow to show. Whatever. We're gonna leave it alone. We're not gonna spend any more time on that. We'll change the color later. The most important part is that it's there. So inside of our header, let's make our 2 buttons. What do we? Let's change that real quick. Where is the section of code for our buttons? Did I not save that? Here we go. The theme toggle. We're going to replace this theme toggle button and we're going to make it better. Oh, let me fix that. Make sure stuff is indented properly there. Alright, so now it looks a little bit better, but it's a checkbox, right? So we're gonna change that. Let's actually copy this, right? And then we're gonna paste it here. But Type checkbox ID. This is going to be mobile toggle. Right, and it's a toggle slider. Cool. Alright, so we've got one that's for mobile and one that's for the theme. Right, this is going to make sense in a minute. So now if we go back to our CSS, right, we need to style these two checkboxes so that they look like actual buttons on each corner. Right? So what I'm going to do underneath my header, because that's where they're at, they're underneath the header, we're going to do the theme dash toggle. This is going to apply to both of them. Right? We want to make them position absolute. Okay, so they're both on top of each other right now, right? We're gonna make them both at the top, so they need to be at the top, and it's gonna be 1.4 rem. So 1.4 rem. Rem is a measurement. Oops. Rem is a measurement of the letter. Oh my god, 1.4 rem. There we go. So rem is a measurement of m, which is how tall your text is, right? So if my text is 16 pixels tall, which is the default, then 1.4 rem is 1.4 times 16, which is about 22 pixels, 22 to 25, somewhere in there. And that's about what I want. I wanted about 25 pixels from the top of the screen. So if you look, this should be about 25 pixels, right? So then we need to make this a display flex. So we want the content inside of it to fit horizontally, because they're not going to be checkboxes. It's going to be a slider. It's going to be a slider. This makes sense. Like, just trust me on this. And then align items center. So everything we want to be centered vertically. So they want to be one of them right in the center, long lengthwise, right? So what I'm going to do in here, in theme toggle, right? So they're both theme toggles, but one's a mobile toggle. Oh shoot, hold on. I see. So it's, okay, I see what I did. Okay, so I just named this one. Okay, so these are the actual IDs. So then if I come back in here, so now I can just separate them by ID, right? So ID, we've got mobile toggle, right? We need to set which side it's going to be on. So this is going to be on the left side of the screen. Left, and it's going to be 1.4 rem, right? So it should put it where it did not put it. Didn't do it. I might have to do them separately. Let's see if we do the other side. Let's see what happens there. So it's going to be theme toggle, and it's going to be on the right side, right? 1.4 rem. I didn't do it either. It did not. I can see the edge of the image on here. This tiling them. It's not supposed to tile them. I did something backwards here. I'll figure it out later. They're still at the top. Maybe it's because I have right 1.4 rem. Yeah, it's putting them there. So I'm gonna have to style them both separately. So what I'll do There we go. It's all her own. What's up, Slick? Thank you for the lurk. Hey, Claude. Sorry you're late. No, it's cool. You're good. My little thing's not working quite right. So all I've done is I've replaced my banner image with a different one that has no background, that has no text in the middle of it, and then I've made my own text to go in the middle of it. It's just not there yet. So that's all we've done so far, because there was no H1 headings. I didn't want to like the image say Tango Hunter and then it to say Tango Hunter right underneath it too. Like that's kind of redundant. So this way the text will be here and it'll be H1 heading, because your headings, to most users, don't really care what a heading is unless you're on like a screen reader for accessibility reasons. So your headings need to be like your H1 headings is your main theme, and then you've got your other headings under H2 and H3s, and you'll see those as we go down the page. But so we're just working on our banner on the header right now. So that's the goal right now. It's the header. Hey Delta, thank you for lurking. I appreciate it. Thank you for checking in. So that's really all we've done. It's just working on the header. So we've got the image in here, and I'll show you what I've done. So I just deleted the image here. I've added the H1, the heading. It just says Tango Hunter. And then under styling, all I've done is I've added the header category, the header element, and I've put the background image in there. I made the width 100%, so it's tiling because I can see the edges a little bit, and I don't like that. But I can fix that later. Oh, you know what? I don't even have to fix it later. There's a... Hold on. There's a thing for that. Repeat. I don't have that in there. So what I can do, under background position center, what I can do is background repeat and make it no repeat. Oh, and I got rid of the sides. Cool. So it's like responsive with the size. Now ultra wide monitors, this thing's huge. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. So, but we'll get there. Right, at least right now it is responsive. And just my terminals are sticking to the left side, so I'm gonna fix that too. They need to be centered. So, but at least that's like one thing that's working right. So let's just delete this because that's not working. So the theme toggle is this toggle here, right? Right now it's a checkbox. We're gonna change that, and then our mobile toggle's here. We're also gonna change that one. But what we can do is I can copy what we've done for our theme toggle, and then just do mobile toggle, and then instead of right, make it left. Right, so now our mobile menu is going to be over here, but only for smaller screens. We haven't styled it yet, so it's only going to be on smaller screens. But it'll be on the left side, and the theme will be on the right side. Thank you for doing the shoutouts. I appreciate it. He's doing a vacation, Lurk. That's what's up. I forgot he's on vacation. He's here. Well, not here. He's in the Panhandle, but that's still Florida. All right, so I couldn't get the text color to work on here. I was gonna put a gradient on it. So right now I just kind of made this green color, which is like my accent color, right? We can change it later, but we're gonna leave it that way for now. Anyways,
Sorry, we're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Come on, everybody!
that's what's up. Let me see what you got. You got a 75 stream streak. Hell yeah. Looks like someone's trying to flash forward. Let's good luck with that. My bot is so extra for like no reason. No reason. So the next part, so I've got my theme toggle and my mobile toggle now. Now I need to make them both. So theme toggle, right, and then input. right? But also the mobile toggle input, right? So because right now they're check marks, we don't want people to have to like input anything, right? We don't want them to like have to check it. So what we can just do is display and none, right? That gets rid of it, but it also gets rid of the checkbox itself. So we can fix that. And the way we fix that is by making it a slider. So we're going to do toggle dash slider. And that's going to be the span. So hold on, let me show you. So if you look, toggle slider, right? Both of them have it, the mobile and the theme. The mobile is not going to be a slider though. The mobile is going to be hamburger. Toggle menu. Alright, so we're going to leave it that way. And then let's go back to our styles. So the menu one has disappeared for now, but that's fine. And this Tango Hunter is still not quite centered where I want it, but that is also fine. What I can do is position relative and then make it top. So this makes it this position will be relative to the container it's in. So make it top, we'll make it like 35%. That's not right. Negative 35? I didn't think negative would work. Let's see 30 pixels, let's see what happens then. It moves it down. Why does it think the top of the container is there? That's so weird. Negative 50 pixels. That moves it up. It moved it like right into the center too. That's so bizarre. For some reason I thought the top of the container was there. How's it look on? It kind of moves it down with the image. That's weird. That's so weird. Everybody follow everybody. Share to love. That's what's up. Alright. So I'm just going to keep moving on. So we're on our toggle slider. These need to have some definition to them, or they're going to be invisible like they are now, right? So we have to add a width, right? And so our width, we're going to stick with our rem units, so that if someone has a larger font size because they can't see very well, like this will make it bigger for them. So we're sticking with rem units, which again, that's measurements of M. So it is dependent upon font size. So font size being 16 pixels, this is 3.75, so it'd be 16 times 3.75, which would be whatever 4 times 16 is. That's like what, 64 minus 4, 60 pixels. So it makes it 60 pixels wide, default. But then if somebody's got a bigger font size, it'll be a little bit bigger. So that just kind of helps out someone who can't see very well. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing for the height. We have to give it a height now too. Because just because it has a width doesn't mean it has a height. We've got to give it definition on both dimensions. Right, 'cause screens are flat. So we're going to go 1.75 rem. It still does show up. Backgrounds. It's far. And we want it to be background secondary color. Oh, there it is. See how it shows up? Right? It's ugly right now. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that right now. But at least it shows up now. So we know it's there. Right, so we got our border radius. So let's give it a little bit of radius. and we're going to give 1.25 rem radius. That makes it more of a circle, right? So if you see 1.75 for the height, so 1.25 makes the edges of it like a circle. It's going to be a slider. All right. And then we also need to do, so we're going to do some pseudo elements on this. I think that'll be easier. We're going to do that. Position, relative, and it needs to, oh wait, it's, yeah, I had it right. Relative. So everything inside of it needs to be positioned relative to the container that it's in. And make the cursor a pointer when it hovers over it. So, see how it changes? I don't know if it shows up very well on the smaller screens. Hey Bedrod, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. We're working on a website. We're making a streaming website, right? But you see the size of the image changes and that menu stays right there. So that's the goal, and the size of the menu does not change. It doesn't get gigantic like the image does. So we are going to fix that with the image, but we'll get to that later. I have the Plago, but otherwise I'm good. Thank you, Love Coding. I'm excited to be here. Well, thank you for being here. This is week 2. I don't know if you caught any of week 1. Alright. Before we move on to the pseudo elements, let's give this a border real quick. So we're just going to give it a 1 pixel border, and it's going to be solid. So solid 1 pixel, and it's already white. But I want to make sure it's the same color as our text on our image, so it kind of like flows. So we'll do the variable text color. It should be. Why doesn't it come up? There it goes. I did both. Let's go with text main, the main text color for the page. Alright. It's kind of cool. It's there. Alright, so Beach, where you been? That's funny. I was a depression hermit, and then I was traveling away for like 2 weeks, and then I got the plague, so today's the first day I've been able to sit at my desk in almost a month. Dude, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. But at least you're here. You're here now, and that's what's important. So, to explain the next part that I'm going to do, we're going to add elements to this toggle switch that don't technically exist right now, right? So, if I go here, right, there's 2 different classes. There's the label class, which is for both, right? But then there's this toggle slider class, right? I don't have any other classes listed in here, but what I can use is I already have a toggle slider class, right? So I can add what's called a pseudo element to mimic creating another element, but without actually needing to code that into the HTML. So I already have the HTML's already there. We're already using the HTML we already have, and we're just adding to it without creating new content, if that makes sense. Not one streamable enough to sit. That's what's up. Yeah, we are happy you're here. So to show you what that looks like, if we take the same class, toggle dash slider, right? But then if we add 2 colons and do before, right? So these are all different pseudo elements. Before and after are the 2 that are used most common. And the way they work is anything that is in the before category is loaded in before this element is loaded in, right? So usually, like, we read left to right, it would be on the left side of it, or above it, you know? And then if it was after, it would be on the right side of it or underneath of it, right? But we're going to do it on top of it, like within it. So let's do before. And this will make, I know it's like super confusing if you've never done this before. But let's go to content. So our default theme is like a night theme, right? Like a dark theme, right? So we have to give, anytime we do before and after, you have to get content. Usually you put an empty string, which is what this is now. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a space. Actually, no, we're not going to put a space. We're just going to put our moon icon in there. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it in there. Right? But it still isn't showing up. So what I've got to do is position it inside of there. So we're going to do position absolute. So remember, the first one, we did a position relative, right? So that meant that everything that is within this element, when we position it, if we do a position relative, or position absolute, it's not absolute to the whole document, it's only absolute to this element. So we're going to do left, and we're going to do 4 pixels. So it still doesn't show up in there, but that's okay. Right? We want it to be top. And it's going to be from the top, it's going to be 3 pixels. We're using pixels here because the size of the text will change, but we don't want the size of the margins on the top and left of it to change with them, if that makes sense. Wait, hold on. Y'all are talking a lot. We need to check on and kill, I think. I feel like he's been really quiet lately, and I've been worried about him too. No, Papa, I can't do push-ups out of Paris. Just we should do that. Did we accidentally drop in on him while he was on an E-date once, or was it a fever dream? What? What? I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's okay. I'm moving on. Alright, so we've positioned it, but it still doesn't show up because we haven't given it a height or a width yet. So, just like the original element, you have to give this one a height and width or it doesn't show up. So we're going to do the exact same dimensions within it that we gave it from the top and bottom, right? So 1.4, split space, 1.4 rem, and height is going to be 1.4 rem. So these are like really advanced techniques. You should probably, hopefully, never have to do this. Or if you do, hopefully this helps you understand how it works. So we're going to give it a background, so it has a background color, and we want it to be the same as our text. Okay, it still hasn't shown up yet, but that's okay. Give it a border. Oh, hold on, it's not going to work because I don't have the semicolon there. Border radius. Alright, and it's going to be 50%, so we want it to be a circle on the sides. So 50%. We want it to be inline, so we're going to give it a display of flex. So that puts it basically in line, right? And usually in the center. And it usually, like, if this was to expand, it would like travel with it, right? Flex is flexible. It's what these are doing, these two terminals, like how they expand with the size of the screen, right? Until they get to their maximum width, which their maximum width is the content that's inside them, right? So this line of text, right? So that's kind of like what Flex does. It's like it's a responsive thing. We're going to align items. We want center, right? So that aligns them vertically, right? And justify content center. Content center, right? So we got a vertical alignment and a horizontal alignment, right? We'll make the font size. We don't want this to expand with the size of the screen because it's going to look really funky if it does. So we're going to give it a static font size. And then because it's going to change with the dark and light themes, so we'll go from like this moon icon right here to a sun icon, right? So we have to do like a transition effect, because I don't want it to look like just disappear and like the other one reappears. So we want it to give like the effect that it is transitioning smoothly, right? So we're gonna do like 300 milliseconds, which is 0.3 seconds, and we're going to ease it in, right? So far, it's still not there, right? So what we got to do, and the reason it's not there is because the JavaScript is not in place yet, right? Once the JavaScript is in place, this will automatically pop up in here, right? So the last thing we've got to do, because I made it a checkbox, this is like the easiest way to do this, is to make it a checkbox and then just do the styling for it and overwrite the default styling rather than making it a button. So the theme toggle, when the input is checked, right? So when someone has checked it and the toggle slider before, right? So we're doing both. Let's add a space. Is there a space there? Yeah, I did it already. Cool. Cool, that's in there, right? Alright, so we want both of those. So we want a transform translate. So whenever you do, we're gonna do x-axis. So like it's gonna be this way, right? So basically it's gonna be like a toggle switch. And so like when you click it, it'll slide one way and be dark mode, and when you click it again, it'll slide the other way and be light mode, right? But we're gonna do like 30 pixels, right? So this way the slider will move once the JavaScript is in there. And then the content, right? So content is gonna change, and we're gonna make it the sun icon. There we go. And they're default HTML icons. You can just copy and paste them. I linked them in the Discord, so they're there somewhere. Let me look. If you go into the text streams, I believe it is the HTML, CSS, JS cheat sheets. There's a link in there for icons. Alright, so I did all that styling and it still isn't showing up, right? So let's go into our script file and we're going to change this. So let's just do it right here real quick. So under scripts, new file, and we want to have the live alert .js to be separate, right? So I'm just going to copy this and paste it, and then all I've got to do, change this live alerts we're going to change today the date created to today's date and the date modified to today's date. Alright, and we'll keep my username in there, right? So the reason I'm changing it is because when I do the tech page, which I have not built yet, this live alert is not going to be on the tech page, right? And I don't want it to load with the JavaScript that loads with the main page, because JavaScript is going to be in both of them. The script.js, my theme and the mode menu will be consistent between the two different pages, but my live alert will not be. So, oh, who's lurking? Stone. Did Stone pop in chat? I didn't even see him. Was that when you guys were chatting? Or am I just blind? I don't know. I don't see him in there. He must be just lurking. He probably didn't say anything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's probably in the chat, but not saying anything because that's what he did last week. Oh, because it was me. I've been lurking all along. That's what's up, dude. So, but yeah, like I was saying, so the live alert I only want to be on the main page. I don't want to be between the two because the live alert is going to try to access elements that are on the main page that don't exist on the tech page, and it will break the JavaScript. And I don't want it to do that. So we're just going to make them separately and only put the live alert in the home page, whereas the script will be on both of them. So we'll change this to today's date, right? And then I'll do the same thing for the styles because I did modify it today. And the index page. This kind of helps with the version control too, so you can tell if you have to go back and look at stuff when you were changing stuff. So on the regular script, we're gonna get rid of this because we don't need it there. What we do need is our toggle menu stuff, right?
There can be only one!
I'm good, bro. I was just shouting you out. Ooh, Bedrock getting the immortal redeem. I'm working unfortunately this week and next I'm being audited, so I'm trying to focus. They don't have a reason to screw me over. No, you're good, dude. I get it. You're working and you've got school and you've got like the whole family thing. So, like, you don't have to explain. Wait, what? I swear they have my name on it where I just looked. Oh no, because Slick City took it from you. Because she checked in earlier too. So anyways, let's set up the stuff for the toggle, and I'm just going to copy and paste it from what I've already created, and then I'll explain it line by line. So first, we're going to do the theme toggle. Right, boom. Okay, let's add a description here. So description is going to be theme and mobile buttons. No, I'll just put theme and mobile. Theme and mobile scripts. There we go. Cool. So, the way this is going to work. So the first thing we have to do with JavaScript is we have to get we have to declare the variables first, right? So this is basically a constant. So there's two ways to declare variables. You can declare them as constants, or you can declare them as variables that can change. So the way to do it is constants with const. If it's not with const, you have to use what's called lets. And so you basically like let this variable equal this value, right? So because we want the toggle button, our toggle button is going to have the same value no matter what, and that's going to be, it says document get element by ID theme toggle, right? All that's telling it is to go into the document, right, which is our HTML document, it's going to get the element by ID. It's going to look for something called theme toggle, right? So then if we go in here and we've got theme toggle, right? It's going to look for the ID, right? So there's theme dash toggle and there's ID theme toggle. And the reason these are named this way is anytime you're doing code and you're doing it like naming files, or you're naming anything that has to have a space in it, you put a dash, all lowercase and a dash. You know what it is. I do it big. Black and yellow. How's it going? So we're still working on our code. This is week 2. I'm just going over how JavaScript accesses different elements in the DOM, which is document and object model. So the main document being the HTML document, which that's a lot of people don't know the difference between the DOM and the document, but that's a different theme altogether. That is very loud. It is. I'm sorry. Thank you for doing the shoutouts. But anyways, so it's going to look for the document. It's going to look for the ID theme toggle, which is right here. So that's going to be this input, which is attached to this label, right? So it's basically this whole thing, right, is now here, right? So that's what it is. So it's saying this variable toggle is this element, right? And const prefers dark. So what it's doing, it's going to find out, it's going to look. I'll explain how this works. So we're declaring another variable, and this variable is going to be a Boolean value, which is true or false, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to look in your window, which is your browser window, right? And it's going to try to match whatever theme you have. So if you prefer the dark scheme, it'll be true. It'll return true, right? If what you prefer matches the dark, this prefers dark will be true, right? Otherwise, if you don't prefer dark, it'll be false, right? So it's going to set the theme. To do that, this is a function, so we're declaring a function called setTheme, and it has an argument in it called theme. Okay, and all the argument means is that this theme, when you call this function, whatever argument you put in there will replace the lines that are in the function where it says theme, right? So whatever variable you put here when you call the function will be thrown into these arguments, right? These lines of code. So it's telling you document set attribute data theme. So then if we go back to our thing, we come up here to our meta tags, and we get color theme, content, light or dark, right? Or dark or light, right? So what that's doing is it is setting the data theme as whatever theme you set it to, right? Local storage set item, it's going to set a theme, right? It's going to go into your local storage, it's going to set a cookie, basically, is what it's going to do. We're not storing your data. All we're doing is we're setting a cookie in your browser setting that takes like 2 kilobytes, and all it has in it is two values, theme and what theme you prefer, light or dark, right? If the toggle is checked, the theme is going to equal light, right? If it's not checked, it'll be dark, right? Because dark is default, right? The user has to check it or make the slider appear, right? Now, if we go to the next line, right? So this just declares the function. It doesn't actually run the function, right? We're going to declare another function, right? And this is going to be constant saved theme, which actually, no, it's not even a function. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's just a variable called saved theme. So it's going to go into your local storage. It's going to pull the cookie. It's going to pull the cookie called theme. And if the saved theme, right? So if this value is true, then set your theme as your saved theme, right? So if you already have a saved theme, it's going to set the theme as the saved theme. If you don't have one, right, it's going to set the theme to whatever you prefer, dark or light, right? So if dark doesn't match, this dark's the default, then it's going to go to light. So the first one after the question mark is the default, right? The other argument is light. So if the dark theme does not match with the window, it'll pull light, right? Because that means you prefer light theme. And then it's going to do an event listener. So the event listener is basically anytime someone clicks on this, it's going to change the theme. And the moon icon's not showing up. I don't like that. But you can see the theme toggle is working. It's just not sliding like it's supposed to. But it does work. So that's cool. So we know it works. It's not quite right. So I'll have to figure that out. But at least it works. And so that's pretty much it for the dark and light theme. I am going to have to change... I don't know why this doesn't show, but this one does. And it just kind of pops up. It doesn't even ease in like it's supposed to. So something here's not right. It's not like, it's not putting, it's putting it like right in the center too. And it's supposed to be, it's supposed to slide 30 pixels to the right. Which really it might be 30 pixels to the right, maybe. I don't know. I don't know without this showing up. And for some reason it's not. I'll figure that out later. Yeah, I gave it everything it's supposed to have. I gave it a height and a width. I gave it position. So then if it's checked, the before value is going to transform 30 pixels to right, and it's going to change it to the sun icon. So I don't know. That's so weird. Alright, I'm gonna move on because I'm already an hour and 14 minutes into the stream, and all we've done so far is screw up our header. The text isn't quite right. This thing's not quite right. It does work. It does work, and the text is there. So like, I mean, you know, like that's cool. The styling's not quite right, so I'm gonna have to play with that stuff later. I did this on Notepad. And Notepad is not like a text editor, or not like a code editor, so it doesn't surprise me if some stuff doesn't work. I'm just gonna have to figure out why. But like, I mean, the JavaScript works, right? Like the user interaction, because like this is user interaction, right? So like that works, and that's cool. So we've got our theme toggle. The next bit of code will be our mobile toggle. Cool. Toggle, right? We're not going to do that right now. What I want to do is get some more content in here and fix some of this terminal stuff here. So the next step, let's just really quick get some content in here, and it's going to be just like some sections. So if we go back to our HTML page, we've got like these links here, right? So the way I figured out the way to do this. So where's ID top, right? If we come down here, versus top. Okay, cool. So that does work. It's just putting it even with that. Oh, you know what? Let's fix that. Let's fix that right now. So, oh, hold on. Before we even do that, we're going to add our JavaScript down here too for our other one. That's gonna be the live alert. Boom. There we go. So the live alert will be in there. Cool. It's 2. So we need both of those in there. The other option, if you don't want to link them in the body, is to link them in the head. It doesn't really matter which one you do, but the way I prefer to do it is in the body tag at the very bottom. That way the HTML loads all the way before it tries to load the JavaScript. It's just the way I was taught, and it makes the most sense to me in my head. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Like, I know I got really technical with some of my styling because this before attribute is very advanced. You don't see that ever if you go to like any kind of school for coding. Like if you go to like any community college or any college in general and you take web development classes, you will never see this in there in that class. I guarantee you. Because it is an advanced thing. And like the same thing with this script. And when you write script like this to change like theme colors, it's usually 2 to 3 times longer than this. This is very, very short. I got the whole thing done in 10 to 29. So what is that, 19 lines of code? The first time you write something like this, it's going to take probably 50 lines of code. Right, because you're not going to know how to match the user's preset, right? That's not something you're going to know how to do. So you're going to do it in other ways that will make sense to you, and you probably use Google to look stuff up too, and Google might tell you to do this, but you're not going to know to look for that, right? And school's not going to tell you that. They should, but they won't. Because it takes too much time away from everything else they're going to teach you to try and teach you like the advanced stuff. They will tell you how to do local storage and how to set cookies and stuff. That's very, very simple in JavaScript. They'll tell you how to do variables and how to get stuff by the element ID, all that fun stuff. Anyways, moving on. So I found out how to do these links. I just had to put one of these in here. So we'll do boom, about. Schedule's going to be in the about section, so I'm not going to have a schedule section. We will do like a socials and a command. And oh, I don't need a hashtag for that one. So this is basically telling it to follow the link that's in the page. Right, so then if we come down to like the about section, which would be like down here, right? We would do it underneath this div. We would do a section. I'm going to copy it. So I'm just going to come down here and we're going to paste it in here. I know I just put like a whole lot of stuff in there. It looks like crap on the web page right now, but so this, we have a section. Oh, it didn't do, nothing's indented right. I can fix that, hold on. All I gotta do is this. Boom. Now it's all indented right. Cool. Alright, so all I did was make a section with an ID of about. So then if I come to this link, it'll put that at the top. Right? And then like I got rid of this schedule part, so like maybe we can just rename that. Which actually no. The schedule will be in the about section, right? So we're gonna do the same way I did with these terminal windows. We're gonna do cards, but they're not gonna look like terminals. They're gonna look a lot more streamlined. So and then lorem ipsum text is placeholder text. It serves no purpose other than to tell you, the designer or developer, that this text is not going to be here, that you're going to replace it with actual real text, right? So that's basically how it's going to work. And what the other thing I should do, I know why this is not, I made it flex. Let's change this. We're going to make it grid. Makes it ugly. We're going to fix it. We're gonna fix that right now. Let's do that. Let's do it real quick. So, what I did was these two terminal windows were inside of a divider called Flex. We go to our styles. We come down here where it says Flex. Remember, Flex is what makes it inline and makes it responsive with the thing. Now they're just the full width of the page, and they're not defined by the content within them. Right? They're kind of responding to the size of the page, but like in the same manner that everything else is. But what I can do is come down, instead of .flex, we do .grid. Right? So we're accessing the grid element, and we're going to do display of grid. Okay, and then we're going to do grid template columns, and we're going to do a repeat of 2 1FR. Did I do that right? Yep, I did. Cool. All right, and let's do a gap. So, you know what? The default gap's not bad. Let's add some margin. Margin 1 rem. There we go. That makes our gap on the side the same as the one in the center, right between them. So the gap between them is the same. So now you see what they stay centered the whole time, right? So the width between them stays the same. They scale with the size of the page, right? So they're not left aligned anymore, right? And you can change the left align stuff, but I wanted them to kind of like be consistent no matter what size screen you have. And I'm gonna change this aspect ratio on this thing too. I don't like how big that gets. I feel like that's as big as it should get. This image up here, the banner. So yeah, those work pretty good now. So we've got some very basic content here. Let's fix the footer image. Let's just do that real quick. So if I go, yeah, it's right there in there. Okay, cool. So it's in footer, but that's like, why is that so far up here and this is so far down here? That does not make sense. Is this image let me check something real quick. We're gonna move this off the screen. I'm gonna open this up. I bet you I know exactly what it is. Let's edit it. That's what it is. That's so funny. We're gonna do our best to kind of center this a little bit. I feel like that's pretty good. And now we'll just save. Right. Boom. Reload. Perfect. Alright, but it still looks funky, right? So let's fix that real quick. So it's going to be at the bottom of our page. I would kind of put things in the order they appear. It just kind of makes sense. So if we come down, we're going to put a couple spaces. We want the footer. And this is going to be width of 100%. This might fix it if I just put it on with 100%. No. How do I do the top one? I did an aspect ratio. See, it's maybe what I should do is footer with the image tag and make the width 100%. That fixes it. Okay, cool. There we go. index. So cool. So there's our like little divider at the very bottom. And then we're just gonna add a paragraph. And I forget, what is it? Is it Alt C? It's not Alt C. I forget the copyright. Copyright symbol. Copyright symbol keyboard shortcut. So this is how you figure stuff out. Alt 0169. That's so weird. Alright, so if we come in here, Alt 0169. There's the copyright symbol, cool. Tango Hunter. Right. So if you look, it is showing up like way down here at the bottom. It's kind of like covered up a little bit. I don't like that. This is such a relaxing stream. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, chill vibes. That's what it's all about. I try to be chill at night, especially before bed. So I'm gonna put more content down there, but let's fix the bottom. So then come back into our footer here. We do margin dash bottom, right? Let's do 1 rem, right? And that brings it up. They brought it up, so it's like there now. So our divider is centered. Our little copyright symbols in there. Copyright 2026. Saying Hunter. Pipe it. Twitch streamer. I don't know what I'm gonna put there, but I mean that makes sense. Can I get rid of that? There we go. But that puts it like at the very bottom. I might put more content in there. Usually you put like your site map down here, so like links within your site, like contact and whatever else. I'm not gonna do all that. Alright, so I need to do like a socials and a commands one. So what I'll do, I will copy these two, right? They're in this section, and we're just gonna like come down below it and paste, right? So we're gonna have another section, right? And this one, we're gonna name it socials. Yeah, just socials. That's weird. Okay. So we'll name one Discord, and then the other one. Oh, wait, hold on. No. Socials. So this H3 tag will be Discord. Discord, and this one we'll name YouTube. Right. And then we're gonna do it again. Right, and this one is going to be commands. Oop, just double click, there we go. Commands, right? Commands, and we'll do. There's going to be regular viewer commands, right? I've got viewer commands. What are the other commands I've got? I've got Spotify. I'll just put in here viewer, and I'll put Spotify for now. And I'll probably do a third one. So then like, let's do it again. Right, let's watch this. So we'll just copy this section. Like this one card, right? We'll come down, we'll paste it again, and we'll make one Tango Sounds. Boom, right? right now it looks like crap. Like this looks like garbage. And when we click the links, they do take us to the right section. Right, and back to top. Brings us back up to the top, minus these things. So I gotta figure out how to fix that. It doesn't take us all the way to the top, but close enough. It just takes us like right here. Alright, so the next thing I want to fix is these two terminals. Right, so one's gonna be terminal, one's not gonna be terminal. And then next week I will fix these cards so they look so much they look like crap right now. They will look really good when I'm done. But at least you can kind of see like the structure I'm going for. So like we'll have an about, but they'll be similar to this, how this is set up. Like here and here. And then like here and here. And then like commands will be like here, here, and here. Right? Because commands don't require a whole lot of text. It's just like each command is going to be separated by a comma. So I can fit 3 different tiles next to each other. And then if somebody has like a super small screen, instead of being next to each other, they will stack on top of each other. But they'll look neat. They'll look neat. We're also going to fix like the background's very bland. We're going to make it kind of like more of a tech themed background. But for now, let's get these terminal windows set up. So like they're already styled right. We got them to look really good. So what I'm going to do, instead of naming this one terminal, we're going to name this one the Twitch player. Twitch player. I can't type. Right. And this right here is not going to be here. Boom. So it says terminal text. It's ID. That's not right. We're going to call this the Twitch player. Alright, so there's nothing in there right now, and I think if I go to my styles. Okay, cool. So that's not even in there at all. So it's just terminal, terminal title, terminal body. Right? So we got terminal, terminal header, and terminal body. Right? So the span is not in there, and so that's cool. This thing doesn't need to be there either. Oop, fix that right now. There we go. So this one has to have a cursor, right? So we're gonna put a cursor in there that's gonna blink, and it's gonna make it look like this is typing, and it's gonna pull the stats from our Twitch. So what I should do, I will pull that. You know what, let's do it all in the JavaScript. We'll do it all in the JavaScript. So the first thing, let's do const, and it's going to be Twitch player. So we have to declare the variable Twitch player, right? And we're going to do document, and we're going to do dot get element by ID. Right? Put it in parentheses because this is a function, is a built-in function. Get element by ID is a function in JavaScript. All functions have a set of parentheses, and that parentheses allows you to pass arguments. Right? So the argument we're using is the Twitch dash player. Right? Boom. And now if I do the Twitch player dot inner HTML equals. Alright, so what I'm going to show you is a pretty neat feature, right? If I come over here to my browser window, right, we're just going to launch Twitch. We're going to come over here to my profile channel, right? So now, if I go to settings, no, it's not settings, it's share. Here we go, share. We're going to embed. Click embed, we want the iframe. I don't want to do all this. I think this is so much extra code for like no reason. I can just do an iframe. Boom. Copy that. Right? Let's go ahead and close that out. I don't need that anymore. We're gonna put so these are backticks. They are the little symbol that's next to the number 1. Your number pad at the very top of the screen. There's a one that has like a squiggly line, and like the backtick, it's backticks, right? It's not quotes, backticks, right? So we're gonna put that in there. It's not gonna work, right? So if you look, it's not working, right? Because my embed code is missing information. I'm gonna show you what it's missing right now. What in word wrap? Oh, because it's only per file. So let's turn on word wrap real quick. It's gonna be Alt Z. There we go. So like now it all shows up on one line, or on like on my screen, and I'll have to scroll sideways to see the whole thing, right? So this channel ID, Tango_Hunter, we're gonna change that real quick, right? Because I already have my name here. So what I'll do is I'll just delete it, and we're gonna add the variable, right? And it's gonna be username, right? So basically, this username is being called right here, right? But this parent directory is still not working, right? Since I'm running this on my local computer right now, I can test it by using my local IP address, right? And we're gonna save it. Let's refresh the page, and it still doesn't show up. I don't know why not. That's interesting. Let's do it this way. So, index.html, open the live server. It does work. It works. It's right here. That's so funny. That's so funny. The audio works too. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Entering the matrix. Yeah. So like the Twitch player works. It shows up. For some reason, it does not show up in my preview. That's so weird. All right, but it's not centered. You see how it's not centered? We're gonna fix that. And look how big my banner gets. That's ridiculous. No banner should ever be that big. Look how big the text is too. That's insane. That is not. Dude, that is nuts. I gotta change that. Like, I'm not changing tonight. I've got too much stuff to do tonight to change tonight. But yeah, at least I know it works, right? It doesn't show up here. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this height and this width, right? Which is gonna break it. Like, it's not gonna work without a height and a width, because in these styles, what I can do is come over here. What is it called? I've got it listed, Twitch Jest Player, right? So if I come over to my style sheet, if I do, it's an ID, so it's hashtag, and it's Twitch-player, right? What I can do is do an aspect ratio. And we do 16/9. That is the default. No, not ratio. There we go. Alright, so if I save this, let me launch this again and see if it fixed it. It did. So, but it made it really small, right? But I can fix it to be the full width. So then, what I'll do, width 100%. So this will make it the 100% width of the parent container. Width? Am I saying that right? No, it didn't. Maybe because that's an inline element. I I bet you I know why. It's the terminal body, right? It's in the terminal body. So then if I take this width 100%, let's see what happens if I put it here and then save it. Still didn't do it. That's bizarre. So that's not working. What if I do it? I'm doing the wrong one. What if I do it in here? What if I go width equals 100%. We'll save it. Oh, well that didn't work. It is keeping the aspect ratio correct, but it just the height is not quite right. Why is it not doing that? I guess I have to define the height. That's so weird. I want to take the full width of the screen, the full width of the thing, but it's not doing it. I will figure that out later. I mean, at least it's in there, but the width is all wrong. The size is wrong. So, but I'll figure that out later. That's not like super important right now. Let's work on the live alert first. So this is going to be a lot of code. First, let's do, before I get into that, let's do the cursor effect just so you guys can see how I'm going to animate this. And that's going to be in the CSS. Terminal player. Let's do dot cursor. Right. Display inline. There we go. Block. So what this is going to do is it's going to make it display in line with whatever text it's on, right? But if we look at our page, this cursor, so span is an inline element, right? So any text in this span, this will be in line with it, right? But because we're not going to have actual text, it's not going to show up in line with it unless we tell it, like, hey, you have to be in line no matter what. What we're going to do is we're not even going to make text. We're just going to go to width of 8 pixels. We do not want this to scale with the size of the text on the screen. The width needs to be 8 pixels no matter what. The height will scale though. So like if they have larger text, the height will scale with the text, but the width will remain 8 pixels no matter what. And this will make sense in just a second. So we'll do M's instead of Rems. Let's make the backgrounds. It's going to be the same color as the text, which was this color here. So here's hold on, go back. Color, there we go. 00FF9C, this one. Alright, so we want to be the same color. Alright, you see how it's there? See how it shows up? It shows up on a new line, and that's okay, because it's going to animate on a new line after each line text types. So let's go to margin. So we want to do margin left, right of 3 pixels. And then animation. We want it to animate. So this is what's going to be cool. So we're going to make it blink. And we all know what blinking means, on and off, right? For 1 second. Right? and there's gonna be 2 steps. Right, so we'll do steps, just 2, and we want to start at the start. I know that seems like kind of silly, but that's how you have to do it. And then we want it to run infinite. Hold on, I can't type. Right. The next thing, we want to vertical line with the bottom. Okay. And now because we did an animation, we have to do what's called a keyframe. Right? So we're going to do at keyframes. Right? And we have blink. So anytime you have an animation, you have to do like a keyframe, right? And this is going to be 2. And it's going to be visibility hidden, right? So these start, it'll be solid, right? And when it blinks, it's going to go to hidden, right? So it's going to hide itself. Put a space there. There we go. Just kind of makes it easier to read. All right, so that should work, and it is cool. So it looks like it's a terminal window. It looks like somebody actually typed that in there. So that's cool. So that's styled. So in our live alert here, we've got my channel loaded in, even though it's not quite right. The next step is going to be getting all of the code for the JavaScript to work. So I'm going to copy what I have. I might have to fix some of it later. Right? And then I will explain what each section is. So first we're going to define when I'm offline. Ooh, I have to fix that. Yeah, see, it's trying to pull variables that don't exist. Hey Shorty, thank you for checking in. How you doing tonight? So I'm trying to pull like const offline. I'm trying to define a variable with in an array, and there's a line in the array that does not exist. This game variable has not been declared yet. Right? So what I've got to do, I don't have, this isn't even the right part. I know why. Let's hit enter. That block of code goes inside this one. Here we go. Alright, this is I wrote all this and I've got to like, okay. So now I've got to fix this because this is not quite gonna work right? So I don't need this because I don't have these in here. I was originally gonna put this stuff not like this. Alright, so this is gonna be get fetch uptime from Twitch. Fetch uptime. Let's do statistics from Twitch to display in the terminal window. Cool. So that kind of like this comment tells anyone who reads this what this is doing. So what we have to do is an asynchronous function. So it's a function that is going to continue running in the background while the browser reads the rest of the code, right? And anytime you have an asynchronous function, you have to do what's called a promise. Easiest way to do a promise is with what's called async and a wait, right? So you've got async here and a wait here, right? So we're defining a function called getUptime, right? And we're not passing any arguments, right? So there's no arguments. Oh, it even said, hold on. Yep. Oh, it just disappeared. All right, so function getUptime, promise, and string. So it knows that we're going to do a promise, right? So we're going to try. We're going to try to do this, right? We're going to try to get a variable called response. And this response is a promise, right? We're saying, hey, we're going to have a response, but we have to wait for this to execute, right? So we're going to go to decapi.me/twitch/uptime username. So this decapi, so the guy who made this API call, his name is Decius, right? He made all the API calls for Twitch. So if you want to pull your statistics, like here, I'll show you. This is neat. So let me open my browser back up here, right? If I come up here and I just type that in, now if I type in my name, Tango_Hunter, right? It tells me my uptime, right? That's all it does. That is it, right? And if I type in someone else's, maybe I type in Claudezilla's, Claudezilla777, hers, because I spelled it wrong. That's why. Malform parameters, I spelled it wrong. There we go. So she is currently offline, right? So it tells you users either what their uptime is or what their and you can do uptime, you can do game, right? So what game was she playing last? World of Warcraft, right? So that's all it is. It's just a request to the Twitch database for whatever statistic you want from their Twitch channel, and that's it, right? It's very, very simple. It is not difficult. That's all an API call is, right? So that's all we're doing. We're just getting this data, right? We're getting the username, which is me. We're getting my uptime from Twitch, and we're going to store it in a variable called response, right? So if the response is not okay, so this exclamation point is the not symbol, right? So if it's not okay, it's an HTTP error, right? So either 404 error not found, or like maybe like the server's down, so it can't even like access it. Anything like that is going to give an HTTP error, right? And so we're going to store the response, the status from that response, in a new error, right? It's going to throw an error, right? But if it's successful, it's going to store that response, the text from that response, in a variable called data, right? So now we're storing the response into another variable. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but the reason we're doing that is so that we can call the data without needing to make another promise, right? Because this isn't a wait, it's a promise, right? And we're still awaiting the response, right? But once we have that response, now we can use that. We can use that data. So with this block of code, what it's doing, if the API call was successful and the user is not online, it formats the uptime to remove the seconds to make it easier to read, right? So let's open this back up. Come on. We're going to paste it back in here again, right? Uptime Tango_Hunter, right? So you see where it says 20 seconds? It's going to remove the 20 seconds and it's going to make it 1 hour, 55 minutes, right? So thank you, Bedrock. I appreciate it. You're saying neat. I saw you when you put it in there like 5 minutes ago. That's all this is doing. So this is using regex code, which regex is incredibly mundane, and I don't really understand either. I had to do some research on how to do this to figure it out. But yeah, so it's basically removing the seconds, and then it's going to match the hours to the hours, and the minutes to the minutes, right? And it's going to format it we've been live for, right? And if there's hours, it's going to format the time to include the hours. If there's minutes, it'll format the time to include the minutes, right? Because you might just be online for 1 hour, exactly, or 2 hours or whatever, not having minutes, or you might only be online for 57 minutes and have no hours, right? So if there's no hours, it's not going to include that, or if there's no minutes, it's not going to include that, right? And then it's going to trim all of the blank space that is before and after the hours and minutes, and it's going to return, so it's going to give me this formatted uptime, right? So what that means is whenever I call this function, it'll give me the formatted uptime if everything's successful, right? Or if it's not. So like if if there's no data, if the data does not include overtime, that's what it's saying, right? So to lowercase is a function that's built in that makes offline all lowercase, right? So if the data includes anywhere in it the word offline, whether it's capitalized or not, then we know we have a successful match and we have hours and minutes, right? So if the data does not include offline, right? Or, right, else, right, if we get a falsy value or an empty one, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to trim the excess white space, and it's going to say throw an empty response, throw a new error, right? So you might get a falsy value with like a null value, or like, so null means it doesn't exist, or you might get false, right? We should not expect those, right? We should expect either offline or like the actual uptime, right? If we get any kind of weird response, like an empty response, like null or false or whatever like that, then we know that this API call wasn't successful, so we're going to throw a new error, right? So we've got an HTTP error, and we've got like this false error, right? All right. Otherwise, we're going to return the data. So if we have uptime, it's going to give us citizen uptime. If we don't have uptime, and we're just offline, it'll say we're offline, right? Or we're going to get these two different errors, right? So if this try is unsuccessful, whether it's the first error here or the second error here, we're going to catch the error, right? And we're going to display that error to the console. And it's going to say error fetching uptime, and then it's going to return the error, right? And that will make sense in a few minutes because I'm going to force it to give us an error, right? So we've declared this main function, which is incredibly convoluted, but all it's basically giving us is our uptime without the seconds, right? Or offline, one of the two. Those are the only two things it's going to give us, or an error, right? And then I also did the same thing for games, for the viewer count, and for the title, right? However, I don't do any error handling here, right? Because these functions are only going to run if this one was successful. If this one's not successful, these ones won't be. If this one is, these ones will be, right? So that's why that's all it is, right? We're just going to name the function called getGame. We're going to store the response, right? It's going to pull the game, and we're going to return that text from that response in the function, right? All right, so now we've got our main function, right? So this is a function that is going to do all of that for us, right? So we're going to put a space here, and this is the main function to display in the terminal window. So I'll rename the other comment up there. So our main function. All right, so we're going to have a variable, and that variable is going to pull the uptime, right? If it includes offline, if it does include offline, we're just going to tell people we're offline, right? Or if we have an error, we're going to display error retrieving stream status. So one of those two things might pop up here, right? Or if we are online, we're going to get the current game, get the viewers, get the title, right? Then we're going to do, we're not going to do this right here. This right here is not what we're doing. So now it's like we don't have this stuff here, right? So if we're online, we'll do this. Right, this is not going to work, but I'll show you why. And let's just do a couple tabs, make this inline correctly. So the reason it's not working is because I don't have backticks in here. So let's do backticks. So we'll do this, make it a backtick, and replace that with a backtick. Now it has my name in there, Tango Hunter, right? We'll do the same thing here. Versus game. And do the same thing here. And the same thing here. And the same thing here. Right, and this is going to change so those values are displayed properly. Hold on, what did I do wrong here? Let me refresh this. Username, stream environment, what? Why isn't it displaying these? That's so weird. Did it a second ago? Oh, I know why. Because I'm dumb. We need to declare this function up here. We'll do it. There we go. Let's declare this up here. So we're going to do it after those calls are done. Alright, so inner text, cool, that's done. Now what I can do is take this online right here, Control X, and we'll put it right here. Refresh. And it didn't work. Something's broken. There we go. There we go. Now it's working, but the cursor's not in line with it. But it works. Alright, so let's go back to our index real quick. Index.html. Let's get rid of this midstream part, right? We're just going to get rid of that. Boom. Alright, so that works. Right, the online section works. Let's see. If we load it to the actual window, yeah, it's working. Let's see what happens when this gets bigger. Does this get bigger with it? No, it doesn't. Interesting. I still don't know why this is not the right size. What am I doing here? VS Code. There we go. Alright, so we know that works. And what needs to happen... So we gotta copy this. Oh, hold on. There. Make that actually look right. Did I spell this wrong? Is inner text not spelled right? Inner text. Oh. Boom. There we go. That'll refresh it every time. Every time it runs this, it'll redo it. This type line thing. And then what I need to do... Alright, if there's an error, let's copy the right one. Oh, undo that. Alright. Well, we're just doing some proper indents there. Alright. What is this uptime? There's no uptime. That's not right. Uptime inner text. No, that's not right either. That's why. So do offline. Right, so for offline, we've got, if it includes offline, here we go. Boom. We'll put it there. There we go. That's the right. And then offline. Control X. Why is it telling me? Oh, 'cause it's not typed right. Boom. So, yep, see, syntax matters, right? So, now let's do the last one. If there's an error message, right, then we're going to put it where the error is. So, if there's an error, we're going to get rid of this. Put that in there. Tab that over. Take this. Put that in there. Make sure we type it correctly. Type line error message. Alright, so now in this inner text, well, hold on. Oh, hold on. Alright, boom. We're gonna do. Oh, I see. I guess I have to declare it. That's fine. You know what? I don't really need to do it that way. That's kind of redundant. What I can do. Let me start this function. Nope, wrong one. We don't want this. We want that. And it's not going to do it because we're not in the function, I guess. Because we're in the scope of the function. Okay. How do I get... Anyways, let's see what it says if we change our username here to like Cloudzilla. Username is offline, previous stream content game. Oh, hold on. I gotta fix that. That's easy fix. Right? So it's because I didn't use backticks. See? Like I said, I did this in Word. Or did this in Notepad. So now it should work. Refresh. What did I break? Close it. Show preview. Well, something's broken. All I did was change this stuff. That was literally all I did. Okay. So like it's right here, right? Okay, there we go. I must have typed in her name wrong. But it didn't give me the error, which is weird. Can it not tell me her previous game? Oh, wait, hold on. Game is not declared. Why isn't game declared? Oh, because it's not current game. That's why. Boom. Now that works. Yeah, so your JavaScript doesn't work if it's trying to access variables that have not been declared. So because the scope of this function hadn't declared current game yet, it didn't work. So, and then if we have an error, so let's see what happens if I like force an error. Right, so we'll just change this back to my username. Tango_hunter. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to force an error. So what happens if I do this? Is it uptime? Error. Unable to retrieve stream status. Please check connection. Right? Boom. So we force an error. Now I can't check an HTTP error because to do that would take me offline, which means my stream would disconnect. Right? But at least I can check and make sure that we are getting errors and that the errors display properly on the screen. The other thing you can do is we close out this preview, right? So let's say we did that, right? We open up our console Right, so like we see that we have an error here, right? If we want to see the actual error, we'll come over to more tools, go to developer options, and hit console, right? Failed to load resource, the server responded with a status of 404, right? Because I didn't put the URL in correctly, it's going to be an error not found, which is 404, right? And it tells you where, right? I get uptime in this file, line 20, index 19, right? And then again on line 94, index of 27, right? And there's a few other errors in here. That's kind of cool. Amazon IVS player, media capabilities found. That's cool. Moving to buffered region. Interesting. So the main thing is the error. It tells you where it is. So like line 20, right? So if I go to line 20, oh, wrong one. This one. All right. So if we go to line 20, right? So this is where our error message is. Right. So it's telling us this is where our error message came from, right? Which is an HTTP response, but it doesn't tell us that it is right here. It's missing the I on line 16. Right? So it doesn't point us exactly in the right spot, but it gives us an idea, right? Yeah, none of them say line 16. But it tells us it's in this function, get uptime, right? And it's telling us where the error is. And the error is coming from this line, line 20, through a new error. Right? But if we add the I back in there, it all works, right? So, no issues. It works. So, that's cool. Alright, so this all works the way it's supposed to work now. For the most part. Just a couple things need to change. So, what I should do, we're calling main, we should do like a timeout function and have it call main again in a minute. Just so our uptime and our viewer count stays like persistent, right? I wish there was a good way to reset these at the end of the function. Oh, you know what there is? Like that, right? What I should do, whenever it calls this function, what I should do is this. Oop. Well, this way, it just does it once at the start of the function. And that's what I'll do. Get rid of that, and then get rid of it there. We're getting rid of it 3 times. We're just eliminating lines of code that we don't need. Should be 3 of them. Oh no, I just cut and copied this way. So if I have it again, it shouldn't be there. Yeah, it's not there. Cool. Alright, so that was really convoluted, but now, okay, so we know what this function is, we know what this is. Let's put this at the top. Terminal text. I'm gonna put that up here underneath my iframe. There we go. developer functions to return additional Twitch statistics. There we go. Alright, and then boom. Function to type each character in the terminal window on load, I guess. Let's terminal window. We'll leave it like that. Alright, main function to display in the terminal window. Yep, cool. And we'll just get rid of some of this blank space. Okay, that belongs there. This does not. Yep, okay, cool. So that's all correct. So basically our main function, the first thing it does is set our terminal text, which, let me just show preview. Right, so this default is empty, which now it's not. I broke it. What did I break? All I did was move this up here. Is it because I put that there? No. Really? What did I break? Okay. Close that. Relaunch this. Refresh. In promise, line index before installation at type line. What? Oh. It's because I put it in the function, I guess. Show preview. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Alright. That's what it was. Alright, so yeah, it sets our initial text to empty, so this shows up with nothing in it. Displays, we get our current uptime. If it's offline, it shows usernames offline. Previous stream content is the current game they have loaded. Please follow and Twitch to receive alerts, right? And then it's going to type it out, right? So it's going to use this function that is typing out each character, one character at a time, one line at a time. Each character has a 35 millisecond delay between each character. Then when it gets to the end of the line, is a 400 millisecond delay to start the next line. And all it's doing is so the line index and the character index start at 0, right? So this way it starts at the very first letter, which is going to be 0, and it starts at the very first line, which is going to start at 0, and then once it gets to the end of the line, it's going to move to the next line, which will be 1, and so on and so forth. So that's how that works. And then if there's an error, it tells us there's an error, unable to retrieve stream status, please check connection. Right? Done. It's going to type it up. Or, if it's successful, we're going to get the game, we're going to get the viewers, and we're going to get the title. Right? And it's going to say initializing username stream environment. Right? Loading modules, currently streaming, current number of viewers, current uptime, and current title. Right? Status ready, press play, and let the chaos begin. So it looks kind of convoluted there because it's small, but on a normal screen it'll read like that. So we got our title in there, we got what we're streaming. Our Twitch player is not loading in this window, it's loading in the main window though. So everything seems to be working. So Let me just put a couple things in here real quick. We're gonna put some inline functions here. There's some inline comments. Offline. Right, and then this one. Who just followed? Hey Nix, thank you for the follow. Nix charged, appreciate it. How are you tonight? And then the last one is if we are successful and we are online. Online. Thank you for the follow. So this kind of gives me an idea, like, hey, if we're offline, this is what's going to happen. If we have an error, this is what's going to happen. Or else, if we're online, we'll get all this. Just a lot of content there, a lot of really neat stuff. So we have the helper functions, we have the error handler. This one's gonna returns offline if no errors or online or no uptime or uptime. Right, so that just kind of makes sense. API, okay, so fetches and formats uptime and errors or errors if not offline. Done. There we go. So we've got our main variables up here, and then we defined each function. So we've got our getting uptime function, which formats it if or gives us errors if we're not offline. Our helper functions to get our users, our game, or not users, our viewer count, our game, and our title. Our function to write it out line by line, which now we have an error. Why do we have an error? What did I change? Do we really have an error? At line 18, too many requests. Oh yeah, there's a limit. There's a limit. You can't have more than like 100 requests. Or something like that. Maybe it's 50 requests. I don't know. But if you go to the website, so it tells you Decapi Twitch API, right? Here we go. So here's like his endpoints. So these are all the different things you can do. The different API calls you can do. It's like get your highlights, get user ID numbers, but like uptime, right? So we get uptime. So he tells you how to do it if you're using different like bots, right? The parameters and stuff. But somewhere in here, back here, more categories, usage, route parameters. Yeah, 100 requests per 60 seconds. So somehow I went over 100 requests, which honestly that makes sense because what happened was we're trying to pull uptime. In addition to uptime, we're also pulling game, viewer, and title. Right, so we're pulling 4 different things. Right, so we pulled more than 106 seconds somehow. So, because we got, yeah. And what happens is, so it's doing it twice. That's the other thing. So I wonder if there's a way. Get uptime. I don't know. That's weird. There it goes. So now it's working again, so I waited a minute. Right. Oh, it's also because I have it here too. Yeah. It's because I have it twice. Right, so we're pulling it 4 times, and then no, 4 times, so it's 8 times, right? And if we refresh, we're pulling again. If we refresh, that's 8 times. So somehow we triggered his cap, which is fine, right? But we are at 2.5 hours, so I feel like we've done a pretty good amount. I still have to fix my banner, which is fine, and I have to fix the stuff here, but at least like the stuff works, you know. About brings you down to the about section. This works. The player works. It just works in the actual window here, but for some reason this still shows up small. I can't figure out why this is small. I will have to look into that. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I can fix all that. That's not a problem at all. At least like the main part of our content has to do the mobile menu, and it's to format this part. So we'll do that in the next stream. And then the stream after that, we'll just button stuff up and do our tech page, which won't take very long. But yeah, let's go ahead and end stream here. And it's been fun, guys. I appreciate everybody being here. You guys are awesome. Let's do a quick push to our GitHub. Right, so you can see like we edited that image. You can see what we deleted, right, and what we added. So all the different things that we added a new file, the whole new file. It's all brand new. Our scripts and our style, right? So let's do week 2 update. We didn't break anything. A few things need to be worked on, but nothing's broken. Everything works. We just gotta fix some styling issues as part of troubleshooting. So thank you, Cloud. I appreciate it. So that is pushed through. Let's see. Did I already hit? I did not hit the ending stream page yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's see who's online. Who do I have online? You know what? Wolf Queen is online. So, creator dashboard. Let's go and raid her. So I use her emote a lot. How do I spell her name? That's probably important to know, right? Underscore. There's an underscore there. Okay. Underscore. And Queen 49. Cool. There we go. And we're gonna hit start raid.
There can be only one!
I see you waited to the very end of the stream to do that one. That's funny. Just so she couldn't get it back. So go ahead and copy raid message. You guys have a great night. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next week.